Hello, welcome to our video review of Archangel, a game that came out in 2017. So it's a couple of years old now, 18th of July on the PSVR, and then was released about a month later on the PC. It's available for £14.99 or $20 and was made by Skydance Interactive. Wes, I'll pass this over to you. How would you describe this game? What sort of game is this?
If I had to put a label on it, well, I mean, obviously it's a rail shooter. You're being pulled through on a rail, even though you're in a mech. It's not a typical mech game. This is more of a rail shooter, and I would call it an arcade style rail shooter. When you play this game, it feels like, if you've been in arcade, you'll know what I'm talking about. They have these arcade games, or these big machines. Generally, they have two seats that you get inside the machine, you sit down, and there's a gun mounted in it, and all of these enemies start coming at you, and there's a cursor on the screen, and you're blasting away at the enemies. That's what this game feels like, and I would describe it as an arcade-style rail shooter.
Yep, I'd agree with that. This is obviously an earlier game. It's 2017, and I know a lot of people was a bit disappointed with this because obviously they were imagining, being in this giant mech, being able to walk around and blast shit. And then obviously when the game starts and you're kind of on rails, people were disappointed. But I personally enjoyed it. We'll talk about gameplay in a second. Let's start with the graphics side of things because this game makes a really good first impression. I mean, it's an Unreal Engine game. You start off picking a character. You can pick either a man or a woman. I think all three of us pick the man, so we'll kind of saw it from the same perspective. But yeah, you get to play this guy who's you start off on a train and his son's sat opposite you, and you're talking to him, and the graphics are really good, really sharp and really highly polished, like almost AAA level quality graphics. And he throws this like thing in the middle of the train, and this big holographic thing pops up, and it's like this project that he's talking about that he's made, and then you get off the train, and you've got this massive Pacific Rim sized mech that you can look up. You've got to literally look up, and you can see this thing, and you go on an elevator, and you get in the mech, and you put your hands out, and you can see your hands moving when the mech's moving. And then something happens, and tragedy happens, and shit starts happening, and you're in this mech, and as you can see from the footage, it's still not bad looking, but I think from that beginning part where you're all in this closed environment and you get that wow factor, when you're actually in the mech, in the actual main game, it kind of steps down a little bit, and I found it a little bit disappointing compared to how it opens it up. But it's still not a bad looking game, and it's still, got a decent production value, and it's a decent quality looking game. Ruuts, what did you think to the visuals of this?
I agreed with you 100%. In the beginning, it was so visually good, amazing that the immersion level again was just I just felt like I was in there and I was looking at this whole story. And that's one thing. It's got a story to it. This is actually a pretty legit game, and I could see where people would. The rail shooting part of it might turn them off, but I just think visually it's stunning, and it's actually worth checking out.
Yeah, what did you think? Do you agree? Do you think the graphics started good and like tapered off, or were you still as impressed when you got into the main game?
Yeah, I didn't notice a visible shift when we got outside that specifically. I thought it was pretty solid looking game. Not the best game I've ever seen, but what really stuck out to me was the sense of scale when you get
Mm-hmm.
outside and you're going through all of these buildings, and you realize just how big this mech is when you look at the little tiny ant-like enemies on the ground, and you're going through, and like you just saw there, you're destroying bridges with your hand, and you're physically swinging your arms to control the arms of the mech, and destroying these big giant freeway bridges that are in front of you. Um, it really, the scale is what stood out more than anything to me about the way the game looks. Very clear, very bright, high contrast scenes. Maybe not the best textures in the world, but I think it works for what this is.
Yeah, it's still a nice looking game. It's not like it's a horrible looking game. It's just that I think it was just because of the way it set the game up. It looked so good. I mean, it was really high level graphics that when you do go to the main game, it can't quite live up to that promise that it makes at the beginning. But it's still a nice looking game, and like you said, the sense of scale's there. You can see men and they're like tiny little dots, and you can just get your machine gun and buzzing them down, and then you've got your rockets. And let's move on to the gameplay then, because obviously this is a rail shooter. We've already said that it's on rails. It is kind of like you say, it's reminiscent of the old style arcade games where you're in one of those booths and you've got your light gun and you kind of just shooting. But the cool thing about this is because you're in this mech, you have like your controllers that you can see in front of you, but then you can see the arms of the mech, and the sense of scale of that is incredible. The arms look massive, and the first time you do that, even though I kind of knew it was coming, it still impressed me just watching this mech's arms come around and move around, and then you've got your little guns on the top of your arms, and you can deploy a shield. So there's a kind of it's not just shoot. You've got to pick your targets. You've got to pick what weapon you use. You've got to sometimes you have your shield, but obviously your shield only lasts so long. So there is nuanced gameplay to it, and I found it fun. I found myself thinking about oh shit, that's a particular enemy's coming. I need to block this. I've got one other hand. You fire, you switch into your rockets. You fire in your rockets. That's it. So I found it a fun game to play until I got to the last boss. But I freaking hate the last. I don't know if you guys finished it, but the last boss just pissed me off. But there's just the way I'll say that the last boss is the problem is that the checkpoint. It's a hard last boss, and the checkpoint between you dying and getting back to the boss is what frustrates it more than anything, because you have to walk through this entire scene and go through this dialogue again just to get back to fighting the main boss. So that's the only criticism I think really gameplay wise I found, other than that it being on rails. It was the last boss just they needed to put a checkpoint just right there when you start fighting him. But it is also worth saying that this is available for free as a multiplayer PvP game. We're only reviewing the single player component, but if you want to check this game out, you can check it out for free. And the multiplayer, I think it's called Archangel Hellfire, and that's actually got free roam, so you can actually control the mech and walk around in that. But we're just going to focus in on the single player aspect, which is the actual part that you pay for. So if you want to check it out, go and check out the free version, and we'll let you know at the end whether we think it's worth picking up the paid version or not. But yeah, Ruuts, what did you think to the gameplay? Did you find it fun? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did actually. I enjoyed it a lot. Like you said, there's a lot of strategy to it, and I just like watching things unfold and things coming at me, and there's just a lot more to the gameplay than just a typical rail shooter. So I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot actually. So
yeah,
Wes, what did you think to the gameplay?
I think that the gameplay was the strong point of the game. It's very easy to pick up, and it's very fun to play. I should note again that this was one of those games that I played on PlayStation VR. And I think that it's very well suited to the PlayStation VR, and it's 180-degree tracking. The move controllers track perfectly in this game, and everything's always in front of you. So it really is well suited for play on PlayStation VR. And like I said, it's easy to play. There's tons of enemies, hundreds of them at times, and you really get you really feel powerful inside this giant mech as you're fighting these enemies, because there's so many of them, and that they have, obviously this high-end military technology that they're coming at you with, and you can really just blast it all to shit with this state-of-the-art mech that you're in. So yeah, overall a lot of fun, and like I said, very arcadey feel to it, very easy to pick up and very fun to play.
Yeah, it's definitely like you say. This game's all about the gameplay more. I mean, it's not unpleasant to the eyes, and it's definitely got a good sense of scale. But the gameplay is what made me enjoy it, and I did find myself just playing through it over 2 or 3 nights because I was enjoying it enough to keep wanting to come back to it and jump in, and so I finished it. they've got, like I said, there's varied enemies. There's definitely some strategy to it. You can't just, keep one going and just blast everything. You've got to think about what you've got to do. You can punch things as well, so that if you punch yourself, you punch robots, and there's some robots that you've got to punch them, they'll jump at you, you've got to knock them out of the way, and they'll go flying over. So yeah, you definitely feel like you're in this big, powerful mech. And if you like your old school kind of arcade shooters, like in the arcades, then this is perfect to me. It's like you've got one in your home. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out for that. We'll touch on the sound a little bit. I mean, obviously the sound's decent as well, the sound effects. But I think the main thing I want to just touch on is the voice acting, because this guy, I don't know about the woman, because again I didn't try her, but this guy, he really gives it everything. This guy, he took this role seriously as being this actor in this game, and he shows, he's really he really Roots. I know you felt a bit like felt sorry for the guy, because kind of spoilery, but it's right at the beginning. But your son kind of don't make it, so he gets a bit emotional.
Well, what's bad is they like literally unfold this really cool scene, and the kid's showing his project, and like you're getting invested in this character, and then bam, it's like, and then of course, like you said, he did such a good job in reacting in the acting, that it made you feel like you were you felt not only sorry for him, but you felt just as, at least I did, just as pissed off in the story. Yeah, I'm gonna go kill these fuckers, like they just killed my son. I put myself in that guy's position because I'm playing him. So it did. I thought the voice acting was done very well. Even the kids' voice acting was good. Now, what you said's bringing up makes me want to go in and check out and see if the girl's as good, because I mean, I would imagine they picked just as good an actress. If the other two were good, right? Maybe.
You'd hope so.
Yeah.
You'd hope so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to. I don't think it's worth me going and checking it out just for that.
Well, you don't have to play
Yeah,
through
it's
the whole
definitely-
game.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a one and done for me. It's not really got any replayability in terms of the single player campaign, but yeah, it's definitely good. What did you think, Wes, to the guy's voice acting? Did you? I mean, I thought it was definitely. I would say it was. I don't even know if I say it's really good. I just thought it was kind of overacted a little bit. So, it was like, yeah, I'm really pissed off, and yeah,
No.
yeah. I won't describe it as good. It was more comedy. I don't think I felt any pain for him. It was more funny than
I felt sad.
feeling. Did you? No, it was he was really going for it, like proper. This guy wanted. It was like he was auditioning for some sort of big movie role or something, and he really wanted the part. So, yeah, it was funny to me, the voice acting, but
Yeah, I agree. It's not the worst voice acting in the world. It's a B movie level overacting, basically, and it's not just him. It's all of the adult characters. So you kind of makes you wonder if it's intentionally done that way. But yeah, they all kind of overact a little bit, and it has a certain cheese factor to it that does make it kind of funny. Now the story itself is sad, and the voice acting from the kid is actually really good. So you do feel it when the kid dies. And I was just telling Roots the other day, I put my youngest son into this game to let him play it, because I thought he would like the mech, because he's like into superheroes. He's into stuff like this. But I put Chris in here, and when the kid died, it upset him. And he played the game for a little while, and he enjoyed it. But ever since that day, he won't go back into the game, because every time I mention it to him, he's like, "That's the one with the kid, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's." He's like, "They killed my son. I don't want to play that game anymore." But yeah, I think the kid's voice acting was good. I think all of the adult characters kind of cheesed it up and overacted a bit, but definitely not bad enough to take you out of the game. It's still quite a fun game, and I'm glad that that there is a story to it.
yeah. I don't think there's really much more to say on this. So it's a good game. I think it's worth picking up. The price, let me just quickly pull it up. It's It's £15, $20. So let's give our recommendations. Do we think this is worth the price? I personally think I'd say it is probably is. If you like rail shooters, I think this is worth the price. If you just want something to pick up and play and just have a bit of fun, maybe pick it up on a sale. It does come on sale on a regular basis. I think I paid something like £6 for it, so you can pick it up really cheap. But if you are looking for a game that's fun and you don't mind the fact it's on a rails kind of arcade shooter, then I'd say it's worth. It's got good production value. It's like the first VR game, and I think did really well for a 2017 game. And we know Wes knows that these developers are actually working on a Walking Dead game as well. So I'm looking forward to that based on what they've done with this. And we've seen it time and time again that these developers who've started early, they've really started to get to grips with this thing now in VR, and they're starting to make some really high quality stuff. So I've got high hopes for their next game, and I think this is definitely not a bad game. I just think people went into it expecting to be able to free walk around, and then were just disappointed with the on rails side of things. So, Ruuts, what do you think? Do you agree? Would you pick it up for $15, $20?
Yeah, I'd pick it up. I would probably pay $20 for it. It's not overpriced. Let's put it that way. I would recommend waiting on a sale, but I'm going to say that for every game if you can. But
how long did it take you to finish it? Do you remember? I think it was about 4 hours for me.
Actually, I never finished it.
All right.
And now that you're talking about that last boss, I hopefully they would implement something better. But no, I got a couple hours in, and then something else pulled me away. Like I played this early on, and I bought games like a fucking crazy man in the first 9 months or so. So I had just so many games to try, and Anthony's show didn't help because as he's talking about all these games, I'm buying every one of them. So I'm a developer's friend. So
Yeah. I say it took me about 4 hours, and don't forget there is the multiplayer aspect of this as well, which is free, so you can check it out. Wes, I'll let you finish up what you think, what your final thoughts, and like what's his name, freaking. What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, from a strict value proposition, I wouldn't have any problem with someone paying $15 or $20 for this. That said, it goes on sale a lot. I paid $7 for it, and I see it on sale all the time. So if you're on a budget, just give it a week or two. I'm sure you're going to find it on sale. Yeah, I thought it was really fun game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. There is some replayability, not just in the multiplayer aspect of it, but the weapons, the upgrades for your mech are the weapons are upgradable. There's levels, and I didn't level everything out. I didn't unlock everything on the first playthrough, so I'm sure on a subsequent playthrough that you can continue to level up your mech and become more powerful. I did beat the game, and I do agree with you 100%. That last save point is just terrible. I hated having to go through that, however many times it took. The boss is difficult. You have to fight it in stages, and it takes quite a long while to get through it all. So it's very annoying having to go back to that checkpoint. But I had fun with the game overall. It does get some mixed reviews, but I think that is because of the misunderstanding of what this game is. Mech games are kind of their own genre. There's a lot of connotations that come with having a mech in your game. And when people see a mech, they have this expectation, this idea in their mind of what this game should be. And this game is not your common mech game. This game is something different entirely. But that said, it's still a quality title. It's very fun to play. And yeah, I wouldn't begrudge anyone paying the full price for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Definitely want to add to your wish list if you want to pick it up on a sale, or grab now if you're looking for some fun arcade action. Okay, yeah. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you for watching. If you've got to the end, hit the like button if you like it. If you dislike it, no problem. Hit the dislike button. Leave any comments. We love reading your guys' comments on what you think of the games as well. That's one of my favorite things. After we put the video up and you guys and main fan leaves about 10 different comments on each one. I think he must comment as he's listening or something, because he's always like, yeah. And it's always fun reading your guys' thoughts and whether you agree or disagree with us on these things. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.
Right.